Start talking whenever you want, guys.
Okay, I was waiting on you.
You never wait on me. The whole point is you don't wait on me.
Yeah, I know, but you were like talking stuff. All right, so we are here at Luciosa's Pub in Plymouth. Since the craft beer cellar that we normally record at is still going through some flood issues, we are here with Tony Sedani. Almost. Yeah, I never get it right. We've met quite a while ago doing comic conventions. Mm-hmm. So, Tony, you have several books that you have put out. The one that I have known you for doing is Return to Rander. And so this now has 2 volumes, correct?
Yeah, well, the second volume is currently coming out episodic. So
okay.
In the middle of it now.
So you have a trade for the first volume and the second one is coming out.
Yeah.
So can you give us a brief description of what Rander is and why they're returning to it?
Yeah, it's really the story about a man who doesn't have his memory and is searching for his home, at least what he thinks is his home. Mm-hmm. Rander. Okay. And it's basically just there's someone following him. Mm-hmm. So the first volume is pretty contained. Yeah. There's an overarching storyline that's going to go through the 3 volumes altogether. It's more of it's more about the characters and just them developing and the decisions they make and things like that.
So the guy that's following him has kind of a kabuki mask looking thing, and he definitely has the Ronin. So I'm taking there's definitely Asian influence in this.
Yeah, it's actually influenced by a lot of things. I mean, westerns, samurai, a lot of Kurosawa. Mm-hmm. It's all kind of meshed into like one story that I came up with it back in, I think I've been working on it since 2004.
Okay.
So it's gone through a lot of iterations. It started as a webcomic. When I was working on another story, it was kind of like my side story to just kind of do once a week, just for fun. Yeah. It was like, it's about this guy who's going to try and find his own. Comes across all these different things that keep him, coming his way, these roadblocks. And, once a week I'll post up a new comic, and it was real lighthearted and fantasy driven. Yeah. And of course, it just ended at one point because I was too focused on other stuff, and came back to it maybe like 5 years later, and still with the fantasy element. Yeah. Changed the artwork a little bit and made it a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. And then I never got past the planning stage for that, and then I came back to it again in 2012. Yeah. And said, I'm just going to make the first issue. And of course, I lost the fantasy element and just kind of did it a more gritty, serious tone, more violent.
And so it doesn't necessarily take place in.
It doesn't actually specify
any specific location.
No, but it's Western influence. It feels like that, like desolate and just dusty and dirty. Yeah. And there's a lot of gritty, bloody violence in there. If that's your thing. But and like I said, it's going to be 3 volumes, and there's a lot of like short stories that I have.
So do you have like an end goal? Like this is the end of the book?
Yeah.
That's where you're going?
Absolutely. I love stuff that ends.
Yeah, so do I. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah. Like I get sometimes they kind of pad it out a little bit. But,
yeah, I mean, I love ongoing superhero books, but my favorite stuff by far is things that just end. Yeah. And that I just thought of from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but one thing I'd like to go for is containing the book itself. So I don't want someone to pick it up and like, I gotta wait for the second one. There is, there's a little bit of that, but overall, you're gonna be happy with the ending to this book.
So each volume has a story arc and then the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and then you brought something else new that you're working on.
Yeah.
Which it's the first time I've ever seen it, called Skin Deep, and so it looks like did you just draw or did you just write?
Co-created with my buddy Rian Miller. Who, we kind of formed a group together. You probably met a few of us, through the years we've been with Cory, the guys at the table with me and stuff. We all kind of put all our efforts together and created Stockpile Comics. Okay. And that's kind of our label we release everything under. Yeah. And my buddy Ryan, who's in there with me, we kind of just came up with this idea that's really influenced by Reanimator, The Fly, things of the 80s, sci-fi stuff. Yeah. And it's just like a brainchild of that. And
brief description of the cover has a scantily clad woman with a zombie-esque type arm hanging in the front, in the foreground in front of her, and she's kind of powering.
Yeah, we don't bury the lead.
No.
That's what you're going to get. Yeah. But,
so is it a zombie book?
Nope, it's not a zombie book. Okay. I would say it's more like The Fly. Mm-hmm. Somebody has an alteration of their body and things that are really gross and weird.
They're more monstrous than undead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not undead. No undead. Yeah. But I do get a lot of that though when people. Look at it.
Well, it's one of those things. It looks a little bit like it, and it's super popular now, so it's almost like you just assume.
Absolutely.
And we were just talking earlier before we started recording that you did a side story in a tech issue.
Yeah, I've gotten a little tick work here and there.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, we got to do some pin-ups, and then last year I got to do a backup story. So it's been great doing that too.
Yeah.
And the tick's got a nice revival coming back as well.
They're got a Amazon show going on, right?
Yeah, have you seen it?
I saw the trailer because they put up the trailer.
The episode's out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's free.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if it's free anymore. It was free while the voting phase was
Yeah.
on.
Well, I'm a Prime member, so.
Oh yeah. So you can watch it, and I loved it.
I thought it was really good, and I really liked the old live action version with research.
I wasn't listening, sorry.
Tick.
Putty from
Seinfeld. I can't have his name.
Oh, that's the reference you give me?
Yeah.
Patrick Warburton.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Warburton. There we go.
Nice.
Thank you, research.
Give me a Seinfeld reference.
You have one job.
Yeah.
So I love that. I thought that was a great series.
I love that show too.
This one almost seems more realistic.
It feels like it's inspired by the actual original comic.
Yeah.
By Edlund. It's like it's more, it's more like darker in tone.
Mm-hmm.
The suit almost looks more like that, like just.
And I feel like Arthur's suit looks very kind of realistic. Like
yeah.
It kind of makes more sense. Yeah.
And then he actually has the mask covering his face, which I was wondering if they were going to go that route or not.
Right.
But I think
didn't.
Yeah,
that's right.
I feel like a lot of the movies, Marvel movies and stuff, they're kind of showing that you can wear the mask.
Right. Yeah, you can wear the mask and.
I mean, geez, how many X-Men films and Wolverine still hasn't worn the mask? It's insane.
Well, now they're kind of on that old man Logan.
So
kind of.
We'll never see Hugh Jackman wear that mask before.
No. But honestly, I haven't since Fox and Marvel could come to arrangements. I haven't seen any of the X-Men stuff since then. So I couldn't tell you. So we brought up the. Have you seen Doctor Strange yet?
Yes, I did.
And what'd you think?
Loved it.
I thought it was fantastic.
Blew me away.
I was kind of like, how on earth are they going to do the imagery? And I think they nailed it dead on.
I've never really read many Doctor Strange comics, so I'm kind of coming from it as a newbie. But I thought it was great. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I just hoped it was going to be real mystical and visually stunning, and it was.
And I think they hit kind of everything. It was compelling. It was funny.
Clever too, the way they did the ending.
I thought the ending was a very
It wasn't just drawn,
right.
Line thing.
Yep. I'll agree with that. And that was kind of I was never a fan of Doctor Strange and Fantastic Four. Were kind of two that I never really got into because it always seemed like to solve the problem, Reed would come up with some nonsensy scientific thing, or Doctor Strange would have some nonsensy magical. Mm-hmm. Oh, I have this one spell that solves the problem.
Yeah.
But this, I felt like they set it up ahead of time, and it made sense. It wasn't kind of a
easy out.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, the way they set up that medallion. Yeah. Like you kind of respected it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when he finally uses it,
you
believe that that made a difference. I love that. I love what Marvel's doing, and that's the type of stuff that they have to kind of do because. Civil War was great. It was amazing, but they kind of feels like very similar to what they've been doing already. Kind of, like stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man, and this kind of feel like where they're stepping outside of the comfort zone a little bit of what they've been successful at.
But I think they've done, and part of what I think makes that movie so good is they've built a universe that all these things exist in.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to make a Doctor Strange movie and you have some guy that comes in and be like, oh no, the Doctor Strange costume's going to have nipples and he's going to have a Doctor Strange MasterCard or whatever. If the guidelines are already set, the universe exists, so you kind of have the structure that already is succeeding.
Well, that's the key to success for them.
Yeah.
Even like, what's his name came in to do Ant-Man?
Research?
Edgar Wright?
Edgar Wright.
Yes,
Couldn't think of it. And you could tell, like, he couldn't fit that circle thing into the square.
Right. Which is a shame because I think he's a phenomenal director. I love Scott Pilgrim. It's a fantastic movie. And I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw online the other day that someone got pictures of the Shocker.
Oh, yeah?
So apparently the Shocker is going to be in the
Shocker
movie.
and Vulture.
Yep. So
I'm excited about that, too, yeah.
So obviously you're a comic guy. Like, what got you into comic books?
I would say X-Men #1 by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont.
Yep.
That was really the one that did it for me. I had a lot of 80s comics growing up, just getting them at the newsstand.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked them, but I wouldn't say I was like a super fan, you know. I'd get them every week with my grandmother, but once I actually started going physically to the shop on my own.
Yep.
I mean, I was only in 4th grade, I think, when X-Men 1 came out. So when I was going to the shop, my mom would go to the store, and I'd walk down to New England Comics and go in, and that's when I started buying stuff with my allowance. I just started buying all the Image books, so I'm kind of I'm from the Liefeld Lee, of just like in-your-face, crazy action, mixed with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone movies. That's kind of just
right.
That formed like my interest.
I mean, I kind of had a similar thing where I lived like 3 blocks from a mom and pop comic book shop.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I would get my lunch money and I would not eat lunch, and then I would go buy comics at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it was, I was always a big X-Men fan, long before the Jim Lee era, and I'm realizing that we need to start putting some older guests. So it's killing me.
Well, that probably also shows. I mean, I've been drawing since I was in 1st grade. You know, like I was always the guy that drew.
Yeah.
But I think buying comics in the '90s were Archer, obviously.
Oh yes, very much.
And that obviously affected me, where I wanted to just draw my own comics. I was drawing my own X-Men book, 5th, 6th grade.
Yeah, I used to make up my own superhero teams. They always had Marvel had those Marvel Universe type books that would have like the huge page with all these different superheroes, and I would just have these giant pages where I'd make up all my superheroes. And, I hate when people ask me like, "Oh, how long have you been drawing?" It's like, pretty much as long as I've been alive.
Yeah,
that's I think pretty much everybody in the art world does that.
And then when you can draw, like popular characters that are on TV for your friends, you become that guy.
Right.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he's the one that draws, this and that, and they ask you to draw it. So and then that just furthers your interest in doing it and practicing.
So the comic books is obviously a side thing at this point for you.
Yeah.
Do you work in the art field professionally?
Yeah, I do graphic design.
Okay.
I do some independent graphic design and a lot of like business cards and brochures and things like that.
Yeah.
They're boring stuff.
Yeah.
That I hate. That pays the bills, but I mean, I'm happy doing this stuff on the side though because I get to do what I want.
Right. Yeah. You don't have anybody.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think about it a lot of times. It's like if I was to be a full-time comic artist, doing other people's stuff, I don't know how much I would. I think I'd enjoy it, but I don't know. I wouldn't enjoy it as much as the way I am now.
Right, and there's certain things where you obviously you could write for Marvel and be like, I'm killing off Ant-Man. Why? Because it works for my story. And they're like, no, you can't. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like you'd be more apt to be kind of like a Mike Mignola who has Return to Rander as your book. And
I mean, I love playing in my own universes and just having fun like that. I love doing, drawing Marvel characters for fun. I do that for commissions and stuff.
Right.
Blast.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing beats just like creating stories.
And so you write as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, do you tell me a little bit about your writing?
Writing process sure is way simpler than most writers.
Yeah.
But I throw on some music and just set up my word processor, just not literal word processor, but my computer, and then I don't know. I do write scripts. I'm sure they're not formatted correctly.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of visualization with thumbnails and kind of write as a thumbnail.
Do you start with a character or kind of like an overall story?
Oh, yeah. I start with an outline of characters, and I think I do more writing before I even draw it, usually, though.
Yeah.
I like to have that spark of an idea first before I even...
Well, if you like stuff to have endings, then I feel like you have to have that ending.
Yeah, I'm very organized with that, and I like to say, like, this is the first act, this is the second act, this is what happens in the third act.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll go to a thumbnail and say, like, how am I going to fit this into 22 pages, or X amount of pages, and That's kind of the process, and then I'll do a lot of like old school way where I will draw a lot of stuff and not know exactly what the dialogue is going to be.
It's kind of the old Marvel method.
Yeah, and kind of like sometimes that even directs the story in its own.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know what? I should have a panel here with this, and then I'll worry about the writing later. And
Yeah.
then, I do like stress over it though at the end, like what the final writing is going to be, the dialogue, I should say. And then for the different process of working with Ryan here, because his looks like a movie script.
Right.
And of course, he's a writer who loves to just write and write and write. And, a lot of dialogue. So it's like, I look at it and I'm like, how are we going to fit all this dialogue on this page?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So that was a completely different process.
Now, did he give you kind of like descriptions of the characters, and then you can't kind of come up with them, or
No,
kind of work with the pictures that you drew?
We've actually talked about how this has been really the most like 50-50 on like a project ever. Like we both collaborated so much and put a lot of time into it, going back and forth with like proof copies and through the process and our ideas, just like kind of working off each other. It wasn't really just Ray comes up with an idea and finds an artist. It's like we both had this idea and we're throwing seeds off each other and see if we can work it in and like, oh no, I don't know, I like that direction. And so we really like.
So it wasn't just that he wrote it. He kind of worked together.
We really hammered it up, but he did all the dialogue.
Yeah.
He's great at that dialogue.
So now being so we got 2 books, Skin Deep and Return to Rander.
Yeah.
Which process do you prefer? Do you prefer to work completely by yourself, or do you enjoy the collaborative method?
Yeah, it's like I said, they're different. It's a lot less stressful just being the artist.
Yeah.
Because I can just blame other stuff on him. It's just, it's a little easier because I don't have to worry about that part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to worry about a couple other things, but for the most part, it's just like, just got to worry about the art, But then, like I said, the writing, I'm like, second guessing, like, writing stuff. Should I have him do this? Should I not? But for the most part, I know my character's motivations and where they're going to end up. So in the end, it gets to where I want. It's just smaller, minor details that throw me off sometimes.
And so you're good friends with John from Boots and Buff, who we had on previously.
That madman.
Yes. So I know both of you guys from conventions.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking earlier about not doing some of the more recent conventions, but how do you feel about conventions in general? Do you enjoy them? Do you have fans that come up and look for new volumes of Return to Rander?
Absolutely. That's like such a good motivator too. It's like I feel like when I don't get to go to a convention, for a long stretch, I'm like eager to get back because it kind of recharges my batteries.
Yeah.
I get a lot of interest in artwork and just. I do have people coming back and like, when's the next volume or the next issue?
Yeah.
Which just makes me just so happy. It makes it all worth it.
Yeah, it kind of gives you that drive again.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to be like, I'm just going to sit here and, watch something on Netflix. And,
Absolutely.
Which, if you haven't watched Black Mirror, I suggest it.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah. I'm only a couple episodes in, but I'm totally digging it. So, where do you find the inspirations for your stories?
Like I said, film a lot. And I would say less my stuff is less inspired by comic books.
Yeah.
More inspired by film. I love, horror and sci-fi, movies.
Yeah.
Just, more,
You talked about Kurosawa films earlier.
Yeah, also, Seven Samurai. Yojimbo is probably one of my favorite films. I love that film, which inspired, Sergio Leone's films. We haven't known the intro.
Right, spaghetti western ones.
Yeah, so that's it's all tied together, kind of. So my character, is a loose basis off of the Clint Eastwood character, kind of.
Oh, okay.
I really like my character. He has no name, which is inspired by that.
Yeah.
I really tried to write him as someone who reacts selfishly, kind of, because I feel like I didn't want him to be an archetype of just someone who, just a hero who does good no matter what,
Yeah.
Someone who could be selfish in certain instances, especially if he doesn't know anything about himself and wants to find out more.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to have him have flaws and things that might make him second guess himself and have a history that he finds out about himself that isn't that great. But like I said, films inspired me a lot.
So there's a scene where it's like, get your ass to Mars.
No, unfortunately.
So you're talking about the spaghetti westerns,
Yeah.
and strangely, I've only gotten into those maybe like 6-8 years ago, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you gotta watch them," and they were cheap at Walmart, so I picked up The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and just blown away. I was like, "This is so good."
And you're like, this exists?
Yeah, I mean, like I always knew of it,
Yeah.
but like never really paid much attention. So, do you prefer like which genre? I mean, well,
For westerns?
well, no, but I was gonna say like you prefer westerns or sci-fi, but like that probably explains Rander.
Yeah.
Because it's very,
Yeah.
you can see the Asian influence. It definitely looks like the westerns.
Mhm.
You kind of just made an amalgam of everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, it's inspired by gritty violence, like, you know, like Walking Dead type of stuff.
Mhm.
You know, just like real in your face versus, you know.
Yeah.
Or I should say, Quentin Tarantino also inspires that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, just like, you know, crazy, ridiculous violence. Yeah, I mean, I just am a fan of film, all types of films, so. I mean, I would love to do like a comedy too at some point, maybe a comedy webcomic at some point.
Yeah. So, have you ever thought about if they were to make Return to Rander into a film? Like,
Yes.
who would play the main character?
Yeah, I actually posted that every week. I post it's called Sunday in Rander. It was something to kind of keep me motivated to posting on my blog.
Yeah.
So I think I'm on like episode 126 or something.
Holy crap.
So I consistently do it. So I think maybe it was one of the 100s. I did a casting call of who I thought would play them. I put pictures next to all the characters.
Oh, nice.
So you should check that out sometime on my blog, which is
Yeah, where can people find that?
TonySedani.com.
You want to spell that?
TonySedani.com. Or ReturnToRander.com. Both the same place.
And are you on Twitter and Facebook as well?
Yeah, at T Sedani, Facebook. You just search my name or Return to Rander. But I did a casting call. What's the guy that plays the Punisher?
Thomas Jane or
Jay Burn.
John
Bernthal. I selected him to play the main character.
Yeah.
That was one of the main things. The guy that played Loki, who played the Man of Thor. The guy that played Negan, actually, before he was selected to play Negan. It was fun. I loved it.
So you're a Walking Dead fan.
I actually don't watch the show.
Oh, really?
I read the comic.
Yeah. Comic is so good right now.
Yeah, it is really good. I did watch the episode of the season premiere.
I haven't seen the season premiere, but like,
You know,
I know what happened.
that was pretty intense. But I stopped watching the show. I watch so much TV. It's crazy.
See, I don't watch much, and I always like just binge watch. So like when it goes up on Netflix, I'll just watch the entire season.
Yeah.
So I basically got caught up to the season premiere like the week before the season premiere.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of my work was like, "Oh, do you want to know?" I'm like, "Yeah, just tell me because I'm going to find out by then anyway."
You've read the comic consistently?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's had its ups and downs, but I'm kind of digging the latest story.
I think the Whisperers are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I really like. I like Negan. I don't dislike him, but I feel like Whisperers are way more interesting.
Yeah. Well, Negan's very interesting at the moment too. I think because
Yes.
it's just one of those things. He wrote it so well where you're just like.
It reminds me of that kind of classic Doctor Doom. You're like, we have to work with him, but he's going to fuck us over when we have no choice. Yeah. So he's more interesting now to me than he was before.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like the Governor better than I like Negan.
Oh yeah, I think he was stronger.
Yeah. And I also think that the Governor in the book was a lot more different.
Oh yeah.
I felt like it's more brutal.
Yeah.
And I remember when they first announced that they were doing Walking Dead, Governor was the main villain, and I'm like, how are they going to do that? There's no way that they can do that. But I still watch it. I just finished watching that. I just finished watching Luke Cage.
Yeah, I just finished Luke Cage as well.
What do you think?
I liked it. My thing with the Marvel, I love the Marvel TV series, the Netflix one.
Yeah.
And I think they'd all be like perfect if they kind of chopped them down to 10 episodes.
I felt like it was a little long. Honestly, there was one point where I'm like, oh, it's over already, and then it just kind of kept going from that point.
Yes, yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of filler, and I don't know if it's just because like we have to fill 13 episodes so they string things out a little bit. Even Daredevil, which is great consistently straight through.
Yeah.
I think they could like trim it to be a nice tight 10-episode show. So,
I definitely felt like Luke Cage was a little long.
yeah.
Jessica Jones, I really like the show,
Yeah.
but if Doctor Who, would be a terrible thing.
David Tennant?
That guy, David Tennant.
Mhm.
If he wasn't on it, I probably wouldn't have watched the entire thing.
Is he the villain?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. To me, he carried the entire thing. It's like her I could care less about. We'll see.
I like what they're going for, the dark, serious. You know.
It's that great. It's the Marvel Knights version.
Great. It's
Yeah.
great. I'm surprised that they did that at a time where the movies, PG-13 movies are doing so well.
Right.
I'm really surprised.
They definitely did go a little.
Yeah, and then the fact that the Punisher series is going to be great.
First off, perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
And if they just take the Punisher Max storylines and just edit those, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of doing a good job with not really going crazy with the superpowers and keeping it kind of down to earth and a little more, I don't want to say realistic,
Yeah.
but more, less godlike. They can get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil gets a shit kicked out of him constantly.
Yeah.
And that also works in Rosario Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
The one patches that together.
I just hope we get a Born Again storyline. I hope they do.
Yeah.
Like down the road, that'd be great.
And just for researchers, note, I got one name, Rosario Dawson. Thank you. So, Skin Deep is the current thing. How is that going to be? Is there a specific end in sight for that?
Yeah, it's the first issue just came out. It's a double-sized issue, 40 pages, and it's going to be 3 of those basically.
Okay.
So
can our listeners also get that off of the Return to Rander site?
Yeah. There's an online store where you can order all my stuff and email your money.
Yes.
Or if you see me at shows, I'll have them for sale. And like I said, it's going to be 3 of these issues, and then we'll probably collect them in the trade and have that for sale sometime down the road.
Nice.
A couple of years.
Do you have any other stories that you're kind of like in your head ready to go, or?
Yeah, but you know what I've been loving doing is just working on these 2 books back and forth. Right now I'm doing Rander stuff for the second. The second book is called The Blood Isle, and takes place, like I kind of set the time off a little bit, like 5 years into the future, or 5 years later, I should say, after this events in this first volume. And I'm doing the issues for that now. So I'm working on the second issue right now, and now I'll jump back to the second issue of this. Going back and forth, but I've been doing short stories for, doing all this stuff, and it kind of scratches an extra little story ideas that I have, like we just, on the Stockpile blog, all of us did a story around like 7 to 9 pages each. And we posted it through the whole month of October, like kind of like a Halloween thing.
Oh, cool.
And they're all like horror related.
Oh, nice.
And so there was 5 of us.
Is that on a stockpile?
Yep, stockpilecomics.com.
Oh, nice.
Or the Tumblr is stockpilecomics.tumblr.com. And we all just posted throughout the whole month in short stories, and we'll collect them together in an issue.
Cool. Who are the other guys in stockpile?
Yeah, we got Rian Miller, who also has a book called Man Gull, which everyone should read.
Man Gull?
Yeah, seagull with the arms of a man.
Okay.
Well, I think the tagline is seagull strong enough to rip the arms off a man, but smart enough to use them.
Okay.
Actually, you can see a little picture here. Actually, you know what? You can see the picture of everybody's work here.
Okay.
We got Man Gull by Rian Miller. We got Joel Olar. Longtime buddy of mine does Forever Winter, which is set in Boston, post-apocalyptic Boston.
Okay.
Jesse Munoz and Ryan do Broken Legacy, kind of like a fantasy book. And my buddy Joe Daxberger, working on a story at the moment. You met him; he always gave those next to me too.
Yeah.
But I think he's working on a book right now. Yeah, we kind of all work off each other and stuff. And
nice.
Every time somebody puts something out, motivates everyone to, we gotta work.
You gotta get moving on their thing.
Yeah.
It's nice to have kind of champions on your side to kind of promote your stuff too when it comes out.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff on the site now too, which is pretty sweet.
That's nice.
Yeah, I just love I love just promoting independent comics.
Yeah.
Like original ideas that people don't know about. It's like it could be better than anything you've ever read.
Right.
Like I see these people at convention just walk by. I'm not knocking anybody for what they like. It's just like I wish people would give more chance. Just stop and just take a look. I don't want everyone to buy my book, but it'd be great to people just to look.
How do you feel about the Artist Alley as it is now?
Artist Alley, I feel like is just money grab for the cons to supplement their income. But
I feel like it's kind of almost at a critical mass type of stage. I hear a lot of vendors complain that they're growing in size and taking up the vendor space. But in the same aspect, I see tons of people buying stuff in Artist Alley. So it's like, it seems like that's where people want to spend some money.
I think the thing with the shows are getting bigger, and they're getting mass appeal to the casual person who doesn't really buy comics, but they buy,
They want to see the person in costume.
They want to meet the people. They like to walk around. They like to see the cosplayers.
Yep.
I mean, it's all fun. I don't knock that. I just for the price that I have to pay to be there, it doesn't make sense. So I personally like smaller shows.
Right.
I like indie shows, like SPX.
Yeah.
Mice shows that.
Oh, yeah.
I've done those shows
That
in the
just went
past.
by, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done those shows in the past, and they've been great.
Yeah. And from the attendee standpoint, you have some 300 independent Artist Alley tables. And after about your 15th sales pitch, everyone's kind of, it's hard. Like, that's such a hard thing to kind of rise above.
Yeah.
That noise.
Me being an attendee, especially if you go to New York Comic Con, I avoid the small press area. I walk through once to see if anything piques my interest, but it's tough because, they don't know that I'm a creator as well.
Right.
Like, they give me the hard pitch, and I'm just like,
like money was no object. Yeah, I'd buy every single book, but I gotta feed myself and pay my bills. And
that's the type of thing that does scare people away. I just kind of sit there. I do my commissions and just let people look. And if someone walks by, I tell them it's like a library. Flip through whatever you want. You read the book. You can sit here and read my book if you want. I'm like, read my book. It's like a library. You just can't take it for free.
Yeah, I've had people do that. Kind of like, hey. Oh, it's not for free? No.
Yeah. I found selling, I used to sell a few prints and stuff, and that supplements the cost and everything.
Yeah.
But, I like to do the original artwork thing, and I sell my original artwork, like pinups and stuff I've done.
Right.
Sell that, and try and sell that book. But people just don't want stuff they've never heard of, and,
right.
With the printing cost, it's hard to sell it competitively. You got guys that sell dollar books or 10 for $1.
Of stuff they know.
Yeah. So it's tough. You just need people that actually want. We need to find places where people want to read different stuff. And that's just what it is.
Which is hopefully what we can do here with the podcast, kind of give you a chance to kind of explain a little bit.
Yeah. I'm doing Heroes Con next year in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm hoping that'll.
I heard that's good for small press.
Yeah, it is. It's still really small press friendly. Just like artist friendly. There's a lot of people that like to go and get original artwork.
That's what I felt about BingCon. There's only a couple of vendors, and it's put on in Springfield, Mass. by the Inebri-art Center. So it's very art driven. Yeah. And so people come in and focus more on the small guy, and they'll probably do swag and stuff too. But it's much about the small press stuff.
Yeah. Boston got sold, so next year it's got bought by Fan Expo. Yep. So chances are more celebrities. They're knocking out the artist out. They're pushing them a little. Yeah. Overpricing it, asking for money. The day, Sunday of the con of last year.
Oh, really?
It's like they kind of just don't really want it there.
Yeah.
It's tough. But like I said, I'm going to concentrate on other shows and try and meet new people. Yeah. Meet new fans, hopefully.
Yeah, and that, with the internet, I think it's a little easier to kind of find people.
Do store appearances also helps out a lot.
Oh, nice. What stores do you normally go to?
Rubber Chicken Comics, New England Comics. Yeah. Usually do Free Comic Day at New England Comics.
You usually do at Rubber Chicken.
Oh, did it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I must have missed you then. I did it 2 years ago, I think. Were you there?
I think so. I think we've done it 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Maybe I was there one year you weren't. I'm doing it this year. Yeah. We got me for this coming year.
Yeah. Oh, I love Jay there. He's a great guy.
Yeah. And, you going to be there this year?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And I find it very surprising, but they both seem to do well, is how close their competition is.
Oh, I know. I can't believe it.
It's like, what, like a mile away maybe?
Yeah.
And they're great guys too. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think there'd be enough traffic in that area for two comic shops, which is nice. So what shows are you thinking of next year that putting on your calendar?
Yeah, Heroes, I'm definitely going to. I already have tickets booked and everything. Maybe Boston Con, it depends. I might be in there in some form. And then maybe SPX if we can get in this year because it's a lottery.
Now, where's SPX?
That's in Bethesda, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
And that's really the best place to go if you want something independent, like good independent books.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's so good that it's so hard to get into that show.
Yeah.
They have to do a lottery for it. And it's really hard.
Someone was telling me that Rhode Island was juried this year.
Really?
Or like the last few tables in jury or something like that.
Yeah, because it sold out quick.
Yeah. And to me, that's the other thing is like, part of the reason why they did Boston this year is it sold out like in March.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honestly, I'm not even planning what the hell I'll do in August and March.
Yeah.
It's been pretty crazy. So do you do any kind of fine art or kind of galleries or anything like that?
Not anymore. I used to be big into painting, actually. More just with acrylic. Real big pieces and stuff, too. Yeah. I got into a stint with that for a couple of years. And did a couple of shows. And then I focused on comics more.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking 8 years ago. That was.
Did you go to art school?
Yep. I went to Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah.
Graphic design program, took a lot of finance classes too.
Nice.
Yep. I went to the Cuba school for like a summer course a couple of years ago. Maybe 4 years ago. I've always been into the arts.
Who would you count as your influences art-wise?
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Jim Lee.
Oh yeah. Mike Manola, Jack Kirby, my favorites. Bob Black is as bad as he is. I just like I find it so interesting and just like his anatomy is terrible, but like, he draws some like intense action in the face that just like you can't not look at it.
Yeah. And he's still working. Like as much as people knock him, he is always working.
His lines at the cons are just like insane.
Yeah. Like I've seen people who have like repeatedly kind of knocked his art.
Yeah.
And then they'll post a picture of him and them together, and you'd be like, "What? Why? What is that about?" So, but yeah, and it's funny because you think he started what, like 93, 92, something like that.
Oh, he got a job at a convention.
Yeah.
Just went to a convention, met one of the editors, and they gave him a job on the spot.
Yeah.
That was it.
But you'd think that's 20 years ago. You'd think his anatomy would have gotten better by now, but it hasn't.
No, well, it's probably because he doesn't do consistent books. He does a lot of covers and stuff that interiors, like if he, but also he gets saved by inkers. Yeah. He just kind of purrs it together, and the inker usually saves it.
Pulls it, yeah.
Or sometimes the inker doesn't save him. Just like, you're on your own. I'm going to ink this exactly the way you drew it.
And it's always amazing, like how much a good inker can help or a bad inker can hurt.
Yeah.
I can't remember, there was a Marvel comic a while ago. It was right around the time of Civil War. And the person who was drawing it got put on Civil War or something else major. And I was like, God, that guy, and just the difference in the two inkers was like night and day.
Yeah, like if you see Ed McGuinness's artwork not inked by Dexter Vines, it looks a lot different.
Yeah.
Like they've worked so closely, worked off each other so well that style is so, perfect. Like, and he works with different inkers. Like, well, that's weird.
I mean, it's funny because, like, even, I don't know if you experience this with my own art. Like, I'll draw something with pencil and ink it, and it looks so different. Just
sometimes better, sometimes worse.
Oh yeah. I'm screwed up plenty of stuff. If you had someone who was looking to start on their own project, either writing or drawing, like, what kind of advice would you give them?
Never give up. No, just like what I find the most interesting is, been doing cons for 6 or 7 years, And it's like you see so many people come and go.
Yeah.
Like, especially people with a new comic, and it's like you always see so many number ones, but you very rarely see number twos.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
It's like, if you get to issue 2, you're doing good. It's like
and you always get the guys no one like, hey, let me tell you about my book. It's awesome. Blah, blah.
Number 1. I mean, it's a great feat to finish a comic.
Yeah.
I started so many things, page 1, and then I just like I'm done.
Yeah.
But no, you got you gotta keep at it. Like anything else, you just gotta keep the gears moving. And little by little every day. You can't make an issue 1 in a weekend. You
right.
Spend time, but also have a thought of book, idea of what you want to do. Don't just like jump into something and really think of it in advance, and plot out what you're going to do, and do thumbnails. Take the proper steps. And
have you ever had, it's kind of never give up. Have you ever had someone come up at a convention and like flat out insult you? Like I remember one specific incident that Jeff Moses, he used to be at cons around here all the time, and he moved south somewhere. This kid walked up to his table and flipped open his book. He goes, "Nice art," and I mean that sarcastically. And I thought Jeff was going to kill the kid. But have you ever had like a bad experience like that? Those are the ones that are tough to deal with.
Not at a convention, but I was at a comic shop on H Street in San Francisco, and I brought in some comics. I was going to a bunch of shops bringing my issue 1 to get stock in California. And I stopped into the shop, and he was flipping through it, and he just like ripped me to shreds. Like, I have glaring problems, obviously. It's all a learning process for me anyway.
Yeah.
It's my first big thing I'm doing. But he just ripped me, like every little possible thing, just ripped me to shreds. I should have just like given up right at that point, but it was for the best though, because it kind of toughened me up, and I worked on things he actually talked about. I mean, he was a real bastard. Like, I was just like, wow.
It's almost like sometimes you just want to punch him in the face, but other times you kind of have to stop and go, well, there's a point. Is he right?
But also, I mean, it wasn't even like he stopped on my table. That I went into his shop and asked him to put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
So that was actually, a positive thing in the end. But, no, I mean, I got stopped a couple times by actual people, like saying that it was good, like actual comic pros,
Yeah, nice.
Like my banners and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Steve Rude actually stopped and I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
At first, at one of my shows in New York, and he stopped and looked at my banner, and I was just like doing commission.
Yeah.
He's like, wow. He's like, I really like these characters. And I'm like, oh, thanks. He's this big tall guy.
Yeah.
And he had all white hair. And I haven't seen Steve Rude in 10 years at that point. So when I last saw him, he had dark black hair.
Right.
And I look up and I was like, oh, thanks. And I just like the pitch on the book. I was like, yeah, it's about the guy trying to find his home and find out who he is. And he's like, oh, yeah, thanks. He's like, yeah, keep up the good work. Really good stuff. And then he leaves. And then I'm walking by later on and I see him at the table. I was like, oh, my God. Are you kidding me? He said that to me and I'm pitching him on the book.
Right, yeah.
I should have given him one. And stuff like that motivates you.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like people tend to kind of weigh heavy on the bad.
Oh, yeah.
That one bad, comment from some nobody. Yeah. That always seems to weigh more.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting pretty close to the hour ish. So one thing that we always ask, or that we've been asking, is so we've talked about some stuff that influenced you. Is there anything that we haven't mentioned that has influenced you, a specific writer, maybe, or?
No, just comics, 90s comics, 80s films. And,
so does Return to Rander come in 6 varying covers with chrome and glow in the dark? And
no, but someday, possibly. I was thinking, I will collect these all into one big book someday, like a bone anthology, which would be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
But no chromium covers yet. Maybe a Kickstarter variant or something.
Yeah. And what is one thing that you would recommend to our listeners to watch, read, listen to?
Watch, read, listen to?
Just something that you're into right now, either music.
Yeah, I dig FM84. It's a pretty cool album that came out. Group do like
is that the band?
80s. Yeah, FM84. I've been listening to that while drawing lately. The album just came out like a month ago. Yeah, I mean, check out Doctor Strange. That was pretty sweet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been watching the TV, Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Check that out. Also, Westworld was pretty sweet.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Actually, Fish is a big fan of that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Quality TV.
It's strange that we refer to TV and we talk specifically about Netflix and HBO. Not
Right.
exactly TV.
Yeah.
Again, why don't we mention the websites? So return to Rander.
Return to Rander.com.
Thank you.
Stockpilecomics.com if you want the best in independent comics has to offer. TonySedani.com brings you to my personal blog, which I have a store on and post on my.
It is updated every Sunday, correct?
Yeah,
Mostly?
Usually, yeah. It's got updates,
Yeah.
so, yeah. I should be updating it this Sunday for sure. So, yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks for coming down,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely maybe next time we'll get you and John back.
Yeah.
And that'll be
And we can
great.
beat on each other every time.
Yeah,
Like the Three Stooges.
yeah. So thanks for coming down, and
Yeah, thank you.
it was a lot of fun.